Okay, so now I'm live on a new one. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be rolling on over. So new angle, largely because I have two different cameras now. The normal recording one's all set up over there. So this is going to be the live stream. Thank you everyone for heading on over here to this live stream, because the other one, the camera input, was still wrong despite me changing it like 4 or 5 times. So I hope everybody can hear me. I'm assuming you can, because I've done all the tech stuff on this side of things. So I hope everybody is doing super well. I'm going to let you know some of the updates about the moderator situation. I was finally able to make it through all the applicants. Thank you so much for applying. Those of you who did, if you didn't make the cut this time around, no worries. I keep all of them on file so that later on, if somebody else is like, you know what, I'm done, then I've got you on file. So there are a few of you that were appointed, and some of you were able to get back to me in time for this stream. Other ones weren't. So today we have one new moderator, and then my wife is also on here as well. So you will be able to see my wife functioning under my other username, which is no surprise to anyone. And then you'll be able to see some of the other moderators in the future streams. I hope everybody's doing very well. I'm extremely excited for this stream. So let's see here. Looking over here. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, oh, cool, the other stream didn't do so hot. I might actually hop onto my phone here and delete said other stream real quick so that people don't get all confused by what on earth is going on in my content world. So just a moment here. Let's see. I don't know if this is it. Yeah, it's 30 seconds long, so I'm imagining that's it. So I bet you didn't expect to hop on here and then see me to remove an old stream, but that's what happened. So, all right. So the announcement. Nobody's missed anything, and actually, I'll answer just a couple of these questions real quick here. Moderators are just people that make sure that chat in live stream stays pretty civil. So with my live streams specifically, I don't like any form of racism or sexism or anything that's negative in my streams. So I will be appointing people to remove that. So any hate comments or repeated hate comments, it's definitely okay to have disagreements and so on and so forth. But as soon as it becomes needlessly hateful, well, then I like to get people out of there. So that's what the moderator's job is going to do. For a little bit, I had people coming out to help out with stuff. So now I've got it all figured out optimistically for all the future ones. So that's what a moderator is. And then let's see here. You know what? I hired an editor. So I had been talking to some people over the internet about editing for the channel, and I was able to land on a person. If you were another person that I had been talking to, please make sure that you keep in mind that the channel will be continuing to grow. So eventually I'll outgrow one editor and need more, and so on and so forth. So I hired an editor. He should be starting to put up videos here soon, like in this week. So if you notice any sort of change in the look of the videos, that's your reason why. So he served for many, many years on arms security and cash transport, and he's the type of person that I can use on my team here at Observe, especially when it goes to the physical branches across the US, which I have plans for as well. So that's that one, but none of those are the announcement. The announcement that I'm oh my goodness, I've been working 2 or 3 years on making this possible. I am partnering with the Emotional Intelligence Academy out of Manchester in the UK, and they are partnered with the Manchester Metropolitan University. And I have made it to where for the first time, you will be able to, if you go and want to sign up for nonverbal training, some of the world's best nonverbal training, you can go there and sign up for their courses and use a link, which they haven't done this for an influencer before. And I'm very, very proud to be able to be the first on this list. And I don't know if there will be anything afterwards. But if you use my link, you will get some of the world's leading nonverbal training at a 10% discount. So every single person who uses my link, you get 10% off, except for the diploma and the master's, because the master's program is extremely expensive and so is the diploma. So it makes it to where they would end up losing large chunks of money on that. But for everything else, and there are well over a dozen different tailored courses that you would be able to go through. There's one or two that they were really wanting to push, and I will let you know which one they would like most on this, because they have some that are more tailored for just about anybody, and then there's some how I am where it's for research. So I would be qualified as a researcher or a specialist. And since I do a vast amount of work in the field, then that's kind of why I went with the master's program. But there are other ones that are much better suited for just about your everyday today kind of information. And that will be really handy for you, because you're able to more or less get 10% off of some people that really know what they're talking about. So it's really handy. Along with that, every time that you do actually sign up for anything through that link, through I'll link it actually in the description of this video and probably in every video from now on out. If you sign up for that, you get the 10% off, and then it also puts 10% towards my side of things as well. So it helps me out, it helps you out, and it's something that, I started laying the foundations of this probably back in 2018 is when I started working on this, trying to get people ready and lined up and everything. So here we are. We're finally here. Also, by the way, Nicole, thank you so much for the donation. I really do appreciate it, and I am very excited for this. I've been trying to make it to where people could have better access to full-fledged courses for a while. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm finding the ones that they would really like to be able to get people attracted to on that front, because I feel like they are important to be able to note. So just a moment, just a teeny tiny little moment here. Let's see. ECTAC. Should have had this a little bit more prepared, huh? Little did you know that I was going to sit here and just look at my phone the entire time. I won't look at it the entire time. And actually, you know what? I'll just fill in everything else after the fact. But if you head over there, anything other than the diploma and the master's, you would be able to get 10% off. And that includes the associates. So if you want to be able to become a Paul Ekman associate, then you will get 10% off of that. And that's a hefty percentage off of the final number on that one specifically. So just keep that in mind. So those are actually going to be the biggest updates for you on that front. I didn't have a ton planned for today, and I've just been so busy with everything, training and setting up business stuff and making sure that you get content and everything. But, fun thing, with the addition of the new editor, you will be able to see more content coming out both here on the channel and then also on Patreon. So over on Patreon, I'm going to be releasing more mini educational videos. They're not going to be analysis. They're going to be breaking down various tells to be able to help you. If you want to be able to go over there and support me over there, you get a foundational learning of some of the methodology behind what I do, instead of just being able to sit there and watch me do it again and again and again. You can kind of learn some of the stuff that I'm looking at. This will be across various different authors, including Paul Ekman, Joe Navarro, Alan Pease, some from even authors like Malcolm Gladwell, where they include other alternate teachings of things, and then some of my own experience as well, all piled into these little short, punchy, and around 10 to 15 minute episodes for the gold tier. I will make a preview video of it for the silver tier as well. And then I might be able to make like a small post of it on the bronze tier, so you could see some levels all the way across, but that would be some very useful things for you, hopefully, as well. Along with that, there will be more analyses coming out. Perhaps if there's a smaller one or a less popular one, that can also be done over on Patreon as well. Just trying to make it to where those of you who are actually supporting over there have some good incentives and some good payback for that as well. And then here soon, depending on how workflow goes, I might be able to up the uploading schedule of this channel up to at least 3 videos a week. So you just get an extra one in there as well, just to keep things moving around, keep things fresh, and kind of paving the way for some other stuff as well. So those are the biggest announcements here. If you have any questions about them, I'll see if I can answer them in the comments here, and then we'll go to a little Q&A, and then we'll wrap up for the day so I can go and continue working on business stuff. So let's go ahead and see what you've got going on here. So just so you know, because the chat will likely be a little bit busy here, if you do want your question guaranteed to be answered, Super Chat's the way to go about that. I know that it sounds very selfish for me to ask for money on that, but it does help me keep track. Otherwise, there's a high chance that I'll end up missing it because there's just a lot to work through, but I'll give it a good shot regardless. So let's go ahead and start with the stuff. So from Desiree 1, wait, which tier will get the tips, gold or silver? Okay, so the way that it'll end up working as a more explained deal, say I am giving a video lesson thing on nonverbal tells of the feet, for instance. Let's just go with the feet for now. Well, on the gold tier, I will give a 10 to 15 minute video breaking down the top tells of those and kind of what they mean and how to observe them. And then I will make a preview style, like a watered down style video of that long, full at length video for the silver tier. So gold tier gets the full length, silver tier gets like the little preview video, maybe 1 or 2 of those. And then the bronze tier will be able to get a post maybe highlighting the top one. Just in words though. So it makes it to where as people have donated more of their money, they do get more in return. And this should help you a little bit on your education front as well. Also coupling that with the fact that you can follow or go over to the Intelligence Academy, Emotional Intelligence Academy link and sign up with that 10% off thing. You can start really rounding out and fleshing out your education on nonverbal side of things. So that will end up happening with that front of things. Great question. I'm going to go ahead and answer some more here real quick here. With the education, this is from Fear Feline. With the education, is it an online course? Yes. So the Emotional Intelligence Academy has always functioned largely online, and it has been pushed heavily that way thanks to COVID. So it is online and it's accessible anywhere. And you can still sign up, obviously, for the master's and the diploma, but that would have to be kind of just out of your own pocket rather than through the discount, like I said, due to the amount of money that would end up costing the academy. So if you do go through the academy and go through the master's, that's a fully accredited master's program. And then you can also get that diploma in there as well, but it is all online and it's very, it's pretty flexible, really. So I've been working through the master's for a while here. It's been a little bit splashy for me because I'm very busy, but it's a very reliable and easy to use program. All right, from Jen, off topic, but I've noticed other people asking, where do you get your shirts? They are amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I actually just ordered some more, and it's from a company called Kurt River. If you look it up, they have a whole bunch of designs on there. I've picked some of my favorites. I reached out to them to see if they would like to do a partnership deal, but they don't, or they haven't responded. So I don't know about that, but that's where I get them. So if you just search Kurt River or Kurt River dress shirts or something like that in Google, you'll be able to find them. Yeah, so that's where I get them. I'm glad you like them. I like them too. All right, from M. Nash. Do you or would you consider sharing the gold level content after a year like TV does with seasons? Quite possibly, especially as I continue to flesh out the Observe team and flesh out the actual content, the presence that I have online. There will be better content coming out. So the stuff that's currently gold will eventually have newer content that's more premium in various ways so that the gold content can shift down. And I'll continue shifting things down because I would like everybody to be able to have access to it. I also just want to make it to where people who have donated, for instance, on the gold tier feel like they're still getting something special for that and that they're donating more. So I hope that makes sense to you, but that's a really good question. So eventually, probably, but it's really hard for me to be able to say. So thank you. All right, from Kat Bland. I'm just so you know, I'm just reading the most recent comment that pops up on my deal, so who knows if this is going to be a question or not even. I just joined and I got scared for a sec. I felt like we were on a Zoom call. He was looking straight into my soul. Sorry. Different camera, much closer to me, different angle. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier on the stream that I have my other camera set up over there for actual recording, but it doesn't format well with the capture card that I use, which I use a capture card to be able to get DSLR quality on my stream. So I'm not using a normal webcam. It's a mess. It's a really big mess, but it works out. So sorry for staring into your soul for a sec, but at least it was in high quality HD. So there's that, I suppose. All right, just got here. What's going on, by the way? Hope everyone is safe and healthy. That is from Maria Jusims. All right, so for everybody who is new here, because it looks like some people are popping on into the comments that haven't been here before, I have finally established and fully fledged out a partnership with a fully accredited academy over in the UK, which teaches nonverbal communication specifically. And it's partnered with the Paul Ekman Group, who also has the Ekman International Groups and so on and so forth. And it's all centered around being able to decode the human body in the language that it says regularly, quite accurately. So with this partnership, you get 10% off of most courses. I say most because you don't get the master's or the diploma 10%, but anything else, you're pretty well clear and good to go if you use the code OBSERVE, all caps, at checkout. So this has been kind of in the making since 2018 or so, right? 2018 for 3 years, 2019. It's been in the making for 3 years at least. And so I'm very excited that it's finally coming around. And it's something that I tried very hard to be beneficial for you specifically, to be able to get you discounts on this sort of education as well. Because you can learn some from you can learn some from being here on YouTube and other maybe like Skillshare, so on and so forth, but it's very handy to be able to receive education from some of the top qualified professionals in the world. So that's just what I was able to make happen for you. I'm very proud of it, very excited for it. So I will be leaving links in each description of all the videos for this so that if you do want to be able to do that, then you can. And yeah, that's the biggest announcement there. Let's see here. Getting down back to the bottom of my deal here. Well, from Maple Knight says, ooh. So yes, ooh. All right, from Jay, how do we use this on a resume and in credentials in the psych field? So it's hard to be able to explain all of the different certifications. I was trying to say certificates, but I suppose that works too. Certifications and diplomas and things that are available through this. But it comes along with some actual physical certifications, digital certifications, and then you can list them under specific training, behavioral training, nonverbal training, so on and so forth. That would be one of the biggest ways that you can do that. Also, if you do happen to go through the master's program, that is a fully accredited master's degree from an accredited college. So that is also something that you can use. So that would be the way that I ended up doing it. I mean, I don't have to really do it now, but that's how I ended up doing it before, and that's how you're able to do it too. All right, from ibagel.com too. Hey, welcome back. Thank you again for the donation. I really appreciate it. Congrats on the stuff. Do you have any tips on studying, test taking, or essay writing? I was thinking about going to college, but I've been out of school for so long that I've lost those skills. Yeah, I understand that. I've been working in the field for so long that diving back into the classroom to be able to just wrap everything up more solidly has been an adventure. As far as test taking, there's two methods that I use for test taking, and it really depends on how much I value the work. During my master's degree that I've been going through, I've been just more or less learning everything to be able to take the tests, which is the long way, the tedious way, and there's no hacks or tips to it. But if you're taking tests that you just have to regurgitate information, using a memory palace is extremely handy. It's great for lists of information to be able to more or less just regurgitate knowledge that you don't necessarily need to retain for a very long time, unless you really want to. So that would be for the test taking. Essay writing. My specific practices is that I will make an area of my house tailored around no distractions, relaxation, and ability to focus. So that's how I end up sitting down with my essays. I have a room in my house that I'll turn the lights everywhere else off except for the one that I need by me, and then I'll throw on some quiet music, and I'll just get to work with a cup of coffee or something like that until I am done, and then obviously proofread, test read, all that stuff as well. yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how to help you too much, especially since I'm in a similar boat. So I appreciate the donation, and I hope that helps as far as my little blip that I do. But thank you. From Blue Bun. Congrats, Logan. So excited for you. Thank you so much. And if you really do want some of the training on it, aside from the stuff that you get from my videos, if you want some from people who have worked on all areas of government across all areas of the globe on this specific academic field, I would suggest going through the EIA. They are kind of the only good or excellent option for you out there if you want this kind of education. So thank you for the donation, by the way. And then from Weekend Religion, do you have social media person / will be looking for? Eventually, I will be looking into that side of things, and I will be putting out another video announcing that, like I did for the moderators. Eventually. I can't yet because I have to run through the actual taxation system and all that other just very boring stuff that nobody really cares about. But I am limited right now, especially via finances, but eventually I will be. So good question, and you will be able to see that come out whenever I'm ready to start moving forward on that. So, all right, from Dogs Are Fab. I agree, they are fab. Just got here, what did I miss? Love from Norwich, UK. Okay. Crash course. There's a code for an academy for nonverbal training. If you would like to be able to use it, it's Observe, and you get 10% off of most courses through the EIA, which is the Emotional Intelligence Academy in the UK. So that would be your best way to go about it. If that's not clear enough, I'd suggest just backing up the stream a little bit, and that will be it. Because right now I'm just answering some questions here. So thank you. Good question. All right. Let's see here, getting down to the bottom again. Also, just so you know, if you do have any questions outside of the things that are related to this, feel free to ask any questions. I will be answering as best as I can most of the questions that I can get to. If you do want your question to be able to be answered for sure, just leave it in a super chat and I will be able to see it guaranteed because it pops up in bright, lovely colors. So helps me keep track. Otherwise, I will just be kind of scrolling through and trying to help. All right. From Andrea Pino, I'm just going to keep asking, LOL, because I really want to know what you think. Does it make it hard to, oh, hold on, it scrolled. Does it make it hard to have interpersonal relationships when you can usually tell if someone is lying to you? Yes and no. For the most part, though, I just try to go onto autopilot while speaking to people. I don't try to actively engage that part of my thinking process. And it's gotten harder and easier to do over time. It's harder to disconnect it because it's gotten easier to do, if that makes sense. But no, I tend to be okay with it. And if I see something that pops up that I'm just like, this feels fishy, 9 times out of 10, I'll just try to ignore it and move on. Because people have the right to their secrets. This is stuff that I only use if I need to, and usually in a professional or in a YouTube setting like this. But I try not to use it in my interpersonal too much just because it can make people really uncomfortable as well. So that's a great question. And if you do continue to study on this, then you'll eventually probably arrive at the same point to where you are aware of how it works and what's happening, but you actively choose to not pay attention to it. So I hope that makes sense. Great question. Thank you. From Christina Perez, hi. Thank you for the donation. And when is the collab with Vsauce? Man, as soon as Michael reaches back out to me, I've tweeted at him like twice or something like that. And I think I've tried to email him or Instagram him or something like that. But believe it or not, he's a busy person. So someday that would be pretty cool. Although it might be confusing for people to have both of us on the screen. I don't know how many bald white guys people can handle on the screen at once. So we'll see. But great question. I appreciate it. Let's see here. From Valeria, I believe. Valeria. Yeah. Sorry, Jay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you are also amazing. Insert the Keanu Reeves clip here. So, but thank you. I really appreciate the donation too. It really helps a lot. All right. This is from April 11th or April 11. What did you study? So that depends on when you're speaking. Right now, I am still slowly but surely slogging through the official master's program through the EIA, which you can get a link for, and you can use my code for getting a discount, blah, 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 all that. So that is in, what's the it's a master's in science, and it's specifically focused on behavior, communication, and credibility analysis, I believe is what, or yeah, something like that, is the full title. It's a very long title, so I don't really remember it, but it's a master's in science. Before that, I have about 5 years of a bachelor's in various things, both science and also in art as well. Not in painting art, but bachelor's in arts. So I hope that makes sense. All right. From Kim Campbell, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, or thank you for everything you do. You're welcome, I guess. I have been watching Observe for a few months now, and it has completely changed my life and perspective. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that it's weird, right? So real talk here. Back when I started studying this, it's very odd to have the feeling of suddenly being aware of all of the body language stuff, because it's obviously always there, and a lot of the times your gut instincts will react off of it. But once you actively start engaging that part of your brain and understanding what happens, it really does change a lot of what you see and how you feel about things. And it can also bring a lot of introspection as well as you're continuing to talk or do things or interact with the world around you, and you can notice your own body language. It gets pretty chaotic as well. So I'm glad that it's changing your perspective. Don't let it bog you down too much, because it sure can. So, but thank you again for the donation. I appreciate it. From Andrea Pino again, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for answering my question. Greetings from Costa Rica. I would love to be able to visit Costa Rica someday. Be fantastic. I'm a little limited right now, but it would be a lot of fun to be able to do. So I hope your day in Costa Rica is going oh so well. Mine here in Montana was actually, it's a pretty good day. Had a little bit of a stressful morning time to everything, but all in all, good day, nice weather outside. It's like 80 something degrees Fahrenheit. So quite roasty toasty. So I hope your day in Costa Rica is good. All right, moving on down to some of the other ones. From Sylvia, thanks to your videos, I realized I can't lie. Way too expressive with my face. So interesting thing on that. So I'll actually just, on that note, I understand. Lying is difficult because of how lying is difficult when the stakes for the lie are high. If you're just telling a simple white lie, even politeness, oftentimes manners, those are basically just small white lies. Being polite to somebody if they ask you how they look, and in your opinion they don't look great, you're not going to be rude but honest and say, oh, you don't look great. You'll find a different way to say that. But that is a small lie. But that's a low-level, low-risk lie. It's often encouraged even. As that continues to ramp up, as the lie itself continues to ramp up, then that's where it gets harder and harder and harder to lie. And that's where when people say, what about actors and actresses? How come they are so good at what they do? Are they not just professional liars? And in a way, yes. But the stakes for it are different. Everybody's supporting the actors and actresses in them pulling off their lie. So they have the confidence in that, which allows their body to be able to flow more naturally in it. Whereas if they weren't, if it was just like a lie itself and they have nobody that's like, yeah, you get that lie accomplished, then that's where their brain can start fighting against them in a subconscious level, which is where the leakage comes from as well. Along with that, it's a different mindset all the way around. For those of you who have done acting, stage acting, something like that, you know for a fact that you don't feel like you're lying while acting. And there's a very distinct distinguishment to be able to be made there in a person's psychology while doing it. So great point. I fully understand. And there's a little crash course on the reasons that lying is different than acting, I suppose. From Potato Lady, hi again, and thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. All right, here's my question. Friend, is it possible to read your own body language, i.e. rewatch some of your own videos? If so, will you do this? It sure is possible. It is difficult to remain unbiased is the biggest issue there. Because I know what I was thinking or feeling at the time, but it is possible to do. And I did something similar to it back on my 100,000 subscriber milestone. I did a reaction to my old videos, and it was kind of like the first body language evolution reaction that I'd ever done. And so you can do it. It is a little weird. That's kind of how I would wrap that up, is that it's a little strange to do. So I don't do it often, but it's a great question. And I might be able to do it again in the future, especially when there's more time in between videos and so on and so forth, to maybe help detach from what that mindset was before. I hope that makes sense, but a great question, and thank you for the donation. All right, from Karochan86, I hope I pronounced that right. Probably didn't, but thank you for the donation. What advice do you give someone who is socially awkward and doesn't look at people's face, but would like to know how to read body language more? I understand. I do not like looking in people's eyes. It really makes me feel uncomfortable as a person, and it makes me feel like I'm making them feel uncomfortable as a person, which likely isn't always true, but it is something that I do feel. So I do understand, needless to say. But as far as being able to interact and I'm assuming you just want to kind of like flow easily into social situations and so on and so forth. There are things that you can do in and of yourself, but the biggest thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you is your own personal mindset. And that can be tricked somewhat by the body language that you yourself do using confident body language. So make sure you focus on things like your posture, squaring up your shoulders and making sure that you yourself feel as large as you can. Don't take up too much space. Don't do the just god awful, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but power stances where you stand with your feet way too far apart and it looks ridiculous. But take up the space that your body takes up naturally, but take it up well and fully. So if you imagine the amount of space that you take up in a room being a circle, fill that space and own that space, and that will help you feel a little bit of control over that. That will help with just the confidence, the mindset side of it. Keep your body language open. So try not to hunch or cross your arms in front, even if this doesn't necessarily mean that you're blocking the world off, because that's not all the time what it means. It can mean just that you're cold, or even if you're uncomfortable and you just need to like do some self-soothing gestures or hold yourself that way, it can make people feel like you don't want to be around them, which maybe you don't. But if you want to be able to make them feel like you do, keep an open body language will help a ton with that. Try to avoid too intensely staring into a person's eyes. I know that if you're like me, it's uncomfortable to look into their eyes at all, especially for an extended period of time. The way that I've found it best is that you mirror how much eye contact they do towards you. So if you're looking at them and they will look at your eyes for maybe like 2 to 3 seconds at a time and then look away at something else, try to match that. That will make them feel the most comfortable. And on that front of mirroring, try to be aware of what their body language is doing and loosely mimic it. So if they are sitting down with their legs crossed in a nonchalant way and you're also sitting down with them, well, then try to loosely mimic that. Maybe don't exactly mirror them, but get an idea of their state and then try to mirror it lightly. That will help them feel like they're on the same page on a subconscious level, and that will help some of your social interactions go a little bit more smoothly. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. Great question, though. Really good question. That would be one of the things that I would end up covering on some Observe Patreon videos. So you might be able to stay tuned over there if you wanted to be able to see some of that stuff. From Misha, something. Wilson, got that name down. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. Congrats on this accomplishment. Thank you. You deserve to be proud of your successes and this amazing, and this is amazing. Oof, I can read, I promise. Do you ever take video recommendations from comments, or do you mostly have a list already? I do. So my video recommendations side of things is hairy at best. I'm always open to the recommendations, because if you recommend it, then there's the likelihood that like 20 other people are going to also recommend it. But I do it through a whoever asks the most kind of gets what they want sort of thing, not individual. So don't just spam your request a lot. But if I see it from a bunch of different people over a bunch of different videos or different platforms, then I'll end up getting around to it. But that ensures that I don't become biased or typed into a specific corner with my content, and it also ensures that I'm getting content out that matters to more of you. So you can do it through any of the platforms, be it through Twitter, Instagram, email, or comments. And I try to keep tabs on all of those to be able to find out where the most popular ones that are being suggested come up, and then I'll inevitably post a poll about it. But along with that, I also kind of keep a long list of these different requests, especially if there's like a dry month where there's nothing that's really going on in the realm of true crime or going on in the realm of YouTube drama or any of these other avenues that I go through. Then I'll go through and I'll see how many people have requested these more unique ones, and do the same basic principle. Whoever requests the most or has the most requests of a certain read, then that gets done first. I hope that makes sense. But yes, if you do have a request, I would suggest commenting it, messaging it, all the different things. That would be your easiest way. Thank you for the donation and great question. From right underneath that, weekend religion again, thank you. What job opportunities would the degree help with? So it's an interesting degree, right? Since it is a master's in science, a fully accredited master's in science, they allow you to get that through one of two means. One, you have to have the prior degree, which would be a bachelor's in whatever, and then you can get the master's. Or in very, very rare and specific circumstances, they will evaluate you and your history and current work in that field, and then allow you on in a person-to-person sort of basis. That being said, since it is a fully accredited master's degree, you have the ability to add that to your resume for just about anywhere. Now, for specific fields that might really appreciate this degree, you could go into something like a behavior analyst, which is similar to the nonverbal analyst, just not as specifically concentrated on nonverbal. To be very honest, the field of nonverbal analysis in general and the people that are in it is extremely small. It's very hard to get into, and once you get into it, there's not much to know how to do because it's still very new. There's just not a lot that's in there. So with my specific field and me specifically, I've kind of carved out the only fully functioning nonverbal analyst like me. There's nobody else that really does it. So that's that side of things. So for instance, my side of the story isn't going to be the same because I fanatically studied nonverbal communication both in and out of college for many, many years. And then I was able to be accepted into a master's program to kind of wrap everything up with certifications and so on and so forth. But before that, I was already consulting with people and professional things because of my own personal effort. It's very difficult and hairy to navigate. As far as like classic college coursework all the way through, it's going to be interesting. And the best people to be able to ask for that would be the people that are in the actual teaching staff of that, because they know how to help you build connections. They know how to help you get to certain jobs. But anywhere that you can list that you have a master's degree, it's pretty much going to help you in whatever area. But some other areas would be HR. People oftentimes want somebody who has a master's in communication or something along those lines in HR so that they can better understand how to hold and run interviews and interact with employees well. It can help with any management because you have a master's in interpersonal relationships, more or less, and that's a very vital part of being a manager. And that's pretty well anywhere. Can help you in law enforcement, also with private investigation, since it's qualified under the needed education for that license. You can also use that there. There's a whole pile of places that you can use it. But if you were looking to get specifically into this field, more or less, you would be able to find your specific route into this field via doing the degree itself, because you're going to be hard-pressed to find another reliable, repeatable one, more or less. I hope that makes sense. That's a really good question, and I hope that answers it, at least to an extent. So thank you for the question. All right. Looks like we are just now down to some regular comments here, so I will see what I can find and continue answering. So down here at the bottom, we've got Caroline Crisanto. Hey. Hi. Can you do a video on Naomi Campbell? Is it Campbell, or how do you, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I don't know. She just popped into my head. She's a blunt person, but does she lie? Maybe. I recognize that name. Yeah, there might be the possibility that I'll be getting around to that because I do recognize that it's been brought up before in other videos in the past. Campbell, thank you. Naomi Campbell. So yes, I might be able to get around to that. That's a really good question, really good suggestion. I'll check to see where it lies in the rest, in regards to the rest of the stuff as well. So, all right. Somebody said from Trinity Trish, my face is very symmetrical. Thank you. It's actually really not, I don't think, but it's close enough. So I pretend that it is, but it definitely has some areas that it's really not. But thank you, appreciate it. Let us see here. from Llama. I hope it's Llama Gamer, but it's probably like Lama Gamar or something more like that. But regardless, what is the video you enjoyed making best? Oddly enough, some of the videos that I enjoyed best were from further back in the day on Observe. And I think I still have it up. Let's see here. Actually, the one that I did, I'm checking it over here on my phone here to see if I still have it. Because I curate my content, make sure that I'm doing well on there. I've got to make sure, just a moment. It's going to take a second because I have a pile of videos, and it was a while ago. Let's see here. I actually have two that I liked a lot right in a row. One was called How Deductionism Can Help Every One of You. And then the other one was something about thin slicing, which is a model of intuition as well. So those would be the two. The other one is how thin slicing can empower your deduction. So back in the day, before the nonverbal stuff took off, even though I was still studying it, I had more variety on the channel here and would talk about a certain form of mentalism called deductionism, which is an observation-based mentalism that I used to do as a hobby. And so I used it here on the channel as well. I might bring some of it back in again later on, but right now I'm pretty happy with the nonverbal stuff. But those two videos I feel like were made rather well, and I got to mess around with some more editing stuff on that front. But I don't know. It's really honestly hard to say, though. There's the possibility that there's another one that I can't think of off the top of my head. So who knows? All right, Dogs of Fab again, thank you. I appreciate the donation again. Does body language change over time, making it harder to judge older historical clips? Is it difficult to find a baseline when a person has autism, etc.? These are very good questions. So does body language change over time, making it harder to judge older historical clips? To an extent, yes and no. So regardless of timing of things, from what we can understand through psychology and sociology and behavior research, let's clump it all together with behavior research. People have had the same 7 universal emotions for all of history. That's regardless of culture, that's regardless of upbringing, that's regardless of even if people can see or not, so on and so forth. It's the same universal emotions. A baby will be born and smile when it's happy, when it's laughing, regardless of if it can see, regardless of how long it's been alive and around other people. So those 7 emotions, those exist everywhere, and those exist throughout all of time as well. And there are evolutionary based things that have caused those to come about the way that they do, but they exist. And so that side of things will always be there, especially in the short time of history where it has video footage of it. That still is going to be quite consistent. The only differences will be the cultural changes, and those have stayed pretty similar as well throughout history in the various cultural areas. So the American culture, while still evolving, still is the American culture. UK, India, anywhere that you go around the world, their cultures are still there. And while they do evolve, they can maintain a lot of the same qualities, especially non-verbally. What really is important in that, especially when it's a time era kind of desynchronization isn't the word that I'm looking for, separation. So if they're from a different time, different culture, different setting, everything like that, being able to try to establish a baseline of the general culture, and then the person themselves will help reassure that you're going to get an accurate read regardless, because I don't work through a system that relies on the universal tells as much. I try to use them in relation to a person's specific nonverbal repertoire. So even if I'm talking about somebody who, say, is from say we have footage from somebody from 1965 or something like that, different time than now, but if I have enough footage, then I'll still be able to gather enough of my baseline for them to be able to make the read more accurate. I hope that makes sense. Now, as far as finding a baseline when a person has autism, etc., yes, you can. It does demand some extra work because you have to make sure that you do all of your due process on that, but you still can establish a baseline. And even understanding how a person functions in regards to certain stimulants will help with that baseline establishment. For instance, you can consider a parent who has a child who has autism. They could still quite well understand that child's emotional state because they're still around them. And that's based largely off of their nonverbal communication because it has to be on many levels. So you can still establish a baseline. You just have to make sure that you really are being careful with it and understanding what is causing certain nonverbal tells to display. But there is always a nonverbal, a psychological reason behind a nonverbal tell. It's just a matter of whether or not it's a telling psychological reason. For instance, just because somebody fiddles with their hair, it doesn't mean that they are upset with you or something along those lines, or even nervous. It's just psychological processing and it's a manipulator. It could be that they are thinking about a haircut. It could be that that's just what they absentmindedly do because they might have social anxiety, something along those lines. So you have to be able to understand what those tells mean in the context that they're given and to the person that they're given specifically from. So if a person has a manipulator that they do repeatedly in a specific instance, then that doesn't matter what the exact reason for it is. You know what that person's reason for it is, that specific person's reason for it is. So if you have a friend who every time that they get really upset by another friend, they say they clam up, the physical representation of clamming up. They cross their arms, they hunch up, and they kind of turn into a smaller version of themselves. Well, then you know that if you see that in a different time, you have that log, that baseline to be able to work with of being like, okay, so they're doing this cluster now. I know for them, that means this because of the evidence that I found. So it ensures that you will get a more accurate read regardless. But that is a really good question. I will be touching on that specific subject, especially with people who have ADHD and autism are two of the categories that I would like to be able to address most because I feel like it's lacking greatly. My goodness, my throat is dry. Excuse me. And I would like to be able to add some research into that. So great question. All right, from Eleanor Hannafin. Thank you for your donation. Is there a video that you absolutely hated making? What was it and why did you hate it? I genuinely don't tend to make videos that I hate making. I try not to make anything that I don't like in general. But as far as videos that, I think what would be more accurate from my side of things, because I really don't mind most of my videos, would be the quality side of things. And any of the older stuff that I used to have was just so low quality. I really didn't enjoy it at all. To go back and look at it. At the time, I thought that it was okay and it did what it needed to, but now I don't know. I just feel like it's dated and doesn't show a lot of effort. But, oh man. Yeah, no, I really don't have any that I just didn't enjoy making all the way around. There's been some reads of people that I don't like, but the actual act of doing the analysis is still fun to me. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know if that makes complete sense. But as far as people that I didn't like, I had a lot of difficulty with the Stofers. I had difficulty with the Mickey Filippi or Philippi or however you pronounce her last name, the people that put their dog down. I really had difficulty with that. Had a lot of frustration for Demi Lovato as well and her specific deal, but I enjoyed the actual analysis itself each time. I hope that makes sense. Okay, thank you again for the donation and great question. Okay, from Abby Bevan, one of those, somewhere in there. Would you ever consider doing a mini-series on different cultural body language or nonverbal analysis from someone from about culture? I think I see what you're saying. Love your stuff. Yes, as far as that goes, I might even be able to implement that into some of my collegiate work so I can also use the the Academy's resources as well. But I do hope to be able to start making that happen here sooner than later. I've got to try to finalize some business stuff for Observe before I can start moving forward with some of these more adventurous and intense projects that would be brought to the internet for general consumption, because I'm not really much of the type to be like, oh, well, I'll make some really great stuff, but only if you exclusively like pay money for it. So like this sort of thing, I would like to be able to make more publicly available, because I think it would help the public a fair bit. But it is something that I'm considering for sure. But it does take a little bit of travel on my part, which would be the biggest thing, because I wouldn't want to just do it all via Zoom, because that I don't enjoy that at all, and I don't think it would be good for learning. But if I could go to the various different cultures and talk to specialists in that field, in that culture, I think that would be a very handy series to have. So great question. Thank you for the donation. And yes, it will eventually be coming up, I'm sure. From Brianna Perez, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. And I like the little duder guy there with the incredible thing. Thank you. From Olivia Tomlinson, thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Would you ever do videos on people talking about their supernatural experiences, for example, alien abductions? I've been thinking about it. The issue is that oftentimes in those specific areas, many of the people do believe that that is what happened to them through a various number of psychological reasons for it, but they believe what they're saying. So I would read it and see most of the time that they're being authentic, because I can't really, determine whether something's a truth or a lie. I can only determine whether or not the person believes it or not. So if they don't believe it, then I might be able to pick up on some of their subconscious seepage from that. But if they do believe it, if they're like, no, I genuinely was, I fully believe and wholeheartedly believe that I was, well, then their body language is going to reflect that, because all that it's doing is reflecting their mental state. So I might be able to do it, but I'm not dead positive as to when or how it would be done. I might have to find ones where perhaps it showed the red flags to me, but that would be just a lot of research of me going through a whole bunch of videos of people to find ones of people who don't believe what they're saying, and it shows. So that would be an interesting thing, but there are some limitations, but it is something that I have been considering for sure, because it's interesting. It's very interesting. So great question. All right. From Brianna Perez, thank you for the donation again, and reposting for Reixor, I believe. Razor. You put it right there next to it. Thank you. Appreciate it. When Charles Manson would make those faces and crazy eyes, was he being real, or was it just for show? You'll have to wait to see what my analysis is on him when that comes out. I'm going to be working on a collection, an archive, so to speak, of all of the various well-known murderers, both serial and not, just the ones that stick out. So Ted Bundy, the Mansons, who was the one guy who buried like 160 people in his basement? The whole pile, the Night Stalker, all of these well-known murderers. I will be making a log of that, and I think that would be a lot of fun to be able to have a series on. So you'll just have to wait and see. Great question, though. And thank you for the donation for the question, too. I appreciate it. From Misha Wilson. Whew, I'm trying today, guys. You forgot a super chat by Razor up above. Oh, sorry, Razor. I tried so hard to keep on top of it. I'm going to see if I could find it. I'm going to go back to the original one. Oh, man. How long ago was it? I have no idea when that was. I must have completely missed it. I'm so sorry that I missed it. And thank you for your donation from before. I appreciate it. I thought that I had gotten all of them. Would you ever do a video on, would you ever do a video on dissociate? I'm having so much trouble today pronouncing things, guys. Dissociative identity disorder. Crushed it. I know that you always put disclaimers. I am not a psychologist, but I'd love it anyways. That would be another one of those questions that I actually get right alongside of ADHD and autism, would be DID as well. Very well, would love to do something in that field as well, but that would be heavily influenced by psychologist intervention as well. because I don't want to ever spread misinformation. I have my specific area that I know stuff about, and I don't want to accidentally say misinformation on various other areas as well. So yes, I will, but it will be with a team of people who also are very qualified in their specific fields as well. Great question. I really appreciate it. And yes, it will happen. Thank you for reposting it, everything like that. From Blue Bun, Logan, I think you need some water. Yeah, I think I do, but I don't have a cup. So I'm just going to have to deal with it and it'll be okay. I actually feel better now. Whatever it was has passed for me. So anyway, scrolling on down here to the bottom to answer some questions. Let's see here. Looks like we've got a, okay. My first stream. Okay. I don't know if this is a question. It's just longer, so we'll find out. Barbara Juarez, maybe? I think, maybe. Thank you for your content. I binge watch your channel pretty much every day, and since I came across your videos, any good books for beginners? Whoop, it disappeared. To get good at reading people. Here we go. Okay, yes, I have some books, and this is actually going to be a video that I'm going to use as my patron intro video, covering some of these things. But yes, the books that I suggest are actually usually on the shelves behind me, which you can't see this one over here. So I'll read this one over here. As far as being able to read people and their emotional states well, I do suggest Paul Ekman's Emotions Revealed. He did a lot of excellent research in various areas of the world, various cultures, to be able to bring you a good tome of books. But it is dry. It is definitely academic literature, so you will get bored from time to time, but it's good. It's filled with good stuff. A little hard to read, though. That's the only thing that I can say on that front. And then over on this side, some more quality ones to be able to work with that are a little bit more palatable right off the bat. I highly suggest that everybody interested in nonverbal communication reading at some point early on reads What Everybody Is Saying by Joe Navarro. Ex-FBI agent. He learned nonverbal communication out of necessity. When he came to America, he didn't know the language, so he had to learn how to communicate well, and nonverbal communication was the way that he went about that. So that's where he really learned it, and then he was able to refine it through work in the FBI. He wrote a book. He's written a bunch of books, so any books by him are going to be really solid reference materials for you. But definitely crack that book open. That will help a ton, just for the foundation learnings. Along with that, also by Paul Ekman, quite literally anything by Paul Ekman will do you quite well. But Telling Lies up there is the white book, right there. And it is similar to the Emotions Revealed, but more specifically centered around deception, what deception is, how it plays out in the mind, and how it plays out in the body, therefore, or more focused on the face. Paul Ekman did a lot more on the face. He's a pioneer in the micro-expression, mini-expression, so on and so forth, whereas Joe Navarro focuses a lot on the rest of the body as well. So those two kind of combined will help you massively in your research. So thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the just suggestion of things to talk about there, because I know a lot of people had questions about that. So thanks. Okay. Making sure that I'm not missing anybody. Because I feel like I am. As an ADHD human, are there actually differences? Technically, from what I've found, and this is just a teeny tiny sneak peek, there's not too many differences, just simply due to how my method of observing goes, building a baseline. There's just more activity, which makes it harder in some areas. People who have ADHD are oftentimes very active people in their baselines, a lot of fidgeting, eye movement, so on and so forth, that might be attributed to nerves or agitation elsewhere. That's usually in their baseline. So the only difficulty or difference in there is just finding the spikes from that already very active baseline. But if you still do your research, you understand what the baselines are, and you know how to establish one, then you're going to still have more or less the same sort of read to it. But there are those small differences. I do think that it's still worth making a full video series on. For obvious reasons. All right. I appreciate the donation, though, by the way, from Jana Lucy? Not sure. Sorry. All right. But thank you. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Got to the right part. ibagel.com too. Again, thank you. I appreciate it. This is a very important question and the world needs your answer. What's your favorite animal? I love ferrets. That would probably be one of my favorite animals. I like how weirdly floppy they are. I used to have a ferret for a very short time, but my wife was allergic to her, so we had to rehome her to a ferret house who had other ferrets for her to play with, and her name was Jinx. She was very cute and just a ball of fun all the time. So those are probably really high up on my list. I also like foxes. They're just full of character. So those are my two big ones for sure. But great question, and thank you again for the donation. From Beth Death 77. All right. Would you ever do an analysis of Ezra McCandless or McCandles? I like McCandles. That would be more fun to say. So I'm going to say it that way. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not going to lie. I haven't actually heard the name. There's the possibility that I know who it is without actually knowing who it is, but possibly. It's hard to say, though. It really is going to depend on whether or not a lot of people ask for it. So if you're watching this, if other people are watching this and you also agree with some of these things that are being asked about these other videos, the way that I can see it easiest is if you comment it in various other videos. I guarantee you, if you comment it in different videos and many people comment it, it will get done because that's how my system runs here. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you. From Justa. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Alrighty here. So it looks like the live stream's been going for about an hour. I think that's a pretty good amount of time. So I will go ahead, and for those of you who are still here or new people that are here, a quick update as to what this stream was originally for is I have partnered with the Emotional Intelligence Academy out of the UK to give you a 10% discount on their coursework and training, except for the master's and diploma, but anything else is fair game. And I highly suggest you go and work through them. It's a fully accredited program if you go through the master's program, and the same teachers teach the other courses. So you're still getting the world's top experts in this field to teach you nonverbal communication. It is available worldwide, and it is all online, which makes it very handy for people. It's pretty flexible with people as well, so that's good, and it can help you get a foot in the door in regards to pursuing a field like mine, similar to mine, to where you can get into some behavioral or nonverbal analysis. So if you would like to be able to do that, then that would be fantastic. If you check out, you can use the code OBSERVE, which is just all caps OBSERVE, and that will give you that 10% off. It also helps me by donating 10% of whatever you're paying to help out with my side of the college stuff as well. That's kind of the partnership side of things. So I'm not really actually getting paid to say anything good about the Academy. I was already going to classes before this partnership came out. So I highly, highly suggest you do check it out if you want this sort of education. And if you do have a bachelor's degree and you're considering a master's, I do suggest this course. It is very reliable. I have greatly enjoyed all the classes that I've gone through so far, and their system is quite easy to work with. I've worked through some college online systems in the past, and they can be a mess, but this one's well thought through, so you won't regret it, and you'll get some really good information. To put it in perspective, it took me 5 years of studying, just on my own study and in and out of generic college classes, to be able to accrue the first year of knowledge in this master's program. So it's very, very reliable stuff, and it's very rich content. So if you want to do that, that's how you can do that. I hired an editor. You'll see some changes in the video editing style here, possibly, unless they're able to replicate it pretty well. So that'll be pretty cool. That'll be coming out this week. And I have a couple mods that I have signed on to the deal. If you had already entered your application for the moderator position, I have it on file, and I will keep it on file, especially because many times on channels like this, moderators will cycle, be they get bored with the channel or they just don't feel like moderating anymore, then I will continue on down. So don't lose hope. Just because you didn't make it on this first round, there will be more rounds in the future. But I think that's all of my little thingies at the end there. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little impromptu and pretty messy live stream. I had a lot of fun, and I appreciate you letting me go ahead and sub out a video here and there for a live stream to keep my sanity down. Uploads will be increasing. Patreon will be increasing a lot, and I hope to be able to keep everything just moving forward smoothly and wonderfully for you. But without further ado, that's all that I've got for this live stream today. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome, as you always are. And I will see you in the next video or live stream or post or something like that. Cheers, guys.